Welcome to this special edition of Hannity, The Trump Effect. I'm Jason Chaffetz, in tonight for Sean. For the hour, we'll highlight why elections matter. Since the president's inauguration in January 2017, the Trump effect has been in full swing. The economy is booming. The media has been called out for its abusive bias. And deep state corruption has been exposed at some of the highest levels in our federal bureaucracy. And last night, President Trump called on the Department of Justice to confront that deep state corruption head on. Take a look.
Our Justice Department and our FBI at the top of each, because inside they have incredible people. But our Justice Department and our FBI have to start doing their job and doing it right and doing it now. Because people are angry. People are angry. What's happening is a disgrace. And at some point, I wanted to stay out, but at some point, if it doesn't straighten out properly, I want them to do their job. I will get involved, and I'll get in there if I have to.
This week, we learned even more details surrounding a brewing scandal we've been discussing for months, all surrounding the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA for short. Judicial Watch now has uncovered that no FISA court hearings, none, took place on the warrants obtained by the FBI on former Trump campaign associate Carter Page. Of course, we know the basis for that warrant was Christopher Steele's dirty dossier. And yesterday, Catherine Herridge reported that current Mueller deputy Andrew Weissman was kept in the loop about Steele's dossier. Joining us now to break all this down is author of The Russia Hoax, the illicit scheme to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, and Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Thank you both for being here. Greg, congratulations on the book. I think it's been the New York Times best-selling list 3 weeks in a row?
3 weeks in a row.
Oh, that's got to drive them crazy. It's got to drive them nuts. Tom, I want to start from you. You've done some amazing work. I'm a huge fan of what Judicial Watch has done. Without you, we wouldn't learn a lot of these things. But explain to us in this court filing what you were able to uncover.
So court transcripts about Carter Page and General Flynn. They wouldn't tell us one way or another whether there was even a FISA warrant on Flynn. Carter Page, they did admit that had taken place. They gave us the FISA applications. We said, what about the transcripts? They initially said there were no transcripts, and then in an effort to dismiss the case, they filed something last night saying, we asked the Office of Intelligence in within the Justice Department. They told us there was never any court hearing on any of the Carter Page warrants. There was the initial warrant and then 3 subsequent renewals. And to me, it's astonishing and disturbing that these courts couldn't bother to hold hearings on spy warrants targeting Donald Trump. When you look at these applications, it isn't about Carter Page. It's about the Trump campaign. It's about candidate number 1, President Trump. 3 of those warrants were filed while he was either going to be president or when he was president. And these courts that are supposed to provide oversight of the secret spy process refused to do so. And, of course, they were gamed by relying on the Justice Department and the FBI. So you've got the courts falling asleep at the wheel here. And, of course, you got the underlying corruption of the DOJ and FBI. And the leadership of the Justice Department and FBI are completely out to lunch in terms of highlighting and exposing and holding those accountable responsible for that corruption. So,
Greg, what do you glean from this and the fact that there was no hearing? I mean, it's a one-way court as it is.
Right. It's an ex-party proceeding, which means there's only one side, the government's side, and there's nobody there to protect the civil liberties and the privacy rights that are being intruded upon by the federal government. These judges, without hearing, without asking a single solitary question, simply accepted as truthful the representations of people like James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, Sally Yates. And now we know they weren't telling the truth. They were deliberately misrepresenting the facts. They were concealing vital evidence, deceiving the judges, and perpetrating a fraud on the court. This is what's wrong with secret star chambers. And it's got to stop. It's got to be corrected in some form or fashion because the abuse of power now is rampant. And this is what happens.
Well, and the concern is then when you author, when they actually put together that document, if they don't explicitly say or tell the judge that the Clinton campaign is funding this,
right,
you have to use a decoder ring to try to figure out. And then on top of that, for Judicial Watch to find out that there was no hearing. Tell me about Andrew Weissmann. Why is this so important? With Catherine Herridge's reporting, why is Weissmann so important in what Bruce Ohr was doing and informing him along the way?
Bruce Ohr has now implicated the lead lawyer in Robert Mueller's special counsel team. He was in on the Russia hoax that was framing Donald Trump for doing things that Trump never did. So Weissmann knew that Christopher Steele, who composed the phony dossier, was not credible. They knew that the document was completely specious. It was uncorroborated, unverified. And they knew that Steele had been fired for lying. And yet the FBI and the Department of Justice and that guy on your screen apparently didn't care. They used it nevertheless to pursue this phony, fabricated investigation of Donald Trump and to wiretap an American citizen without proper evidence. So this now ruins the integrity and the credibility of Robert Mueller's special counsel. Weissmann should be fired. And the special counsel himself should say, we apologize, we are terminating our special counsel probe because all of it has been tainted and corrupted by Weissmann.
Yeah, they're going to have a real difficult time, if not impossible, to get it through the courts. Tom, where does Judicial Watch go next? What other things do you have brewing that the court will need to rule on, and what are you pressing for?
Well, we were just told there were 1,600 pages of Bruce Ohr documents. They're going to take 6 months or so they want to turn them over. We've sued for Andrew Weissmann's text messages. We're getting the stonewall on there. We've already shown that Weissmann sent an email to Sally Yates praising her lawless thwarting of President Trump's travel ban order back in the beginning of the administration. Now they don't want to turn over any text messages that mention Clinton or Trump. He's pro-Clinton. He attended Clinton's party on the election night. It wasn't much of a party.
I kind of wish that I was there at that party, by the way. I think that would have been kind of fun, but go ahead, sorry.
Well, now they're hiding his text messages from us. Why are they hiding his text messages from us? So we're asking for all these questions, and you know, you open the hour with talking about the president saying he may have to get involved. The easiest way for him to get involved is to order the Justice Department and the FBI to quickly release these records, declassify the rest of those FISA applications that the court didn't hold hearings on so we can figure out what's in them, because they're classified to cover up corruption, not because of national security issues, and get the truth out. That's the best way to combat the deep state at this point.
Well, and look, they're not only turning them over to the public, which is paying the bills, and that's the government works for is the public, and you're at the tip of the spear on that. But they're also holding them back from Congress. People like John Radcliffe and Trey Gowdy and Devin Nunes, who have security clearances, so they have no excuse there. But they continue to hold those back. Of course, Greg, though, one of the things that's concerning about this is not just Bruce Ohr, but his wife.
Right.
Nellie. So where does it go next with Nellie?
Well, she'll be questioned because it's important. Laws appear to have been broken here. Look, he omitted in his filings at the Department of Justice that his wife was getting paid for composing the dossier that he was peddling. Now, that is not only filing a false government report, which is a crime, but it's also the bribery and gratuity statute and the honest services fraud. This is why he's now squealing on people like Andrew Weissmann. And having Weissmann heading up this, that's like a detective who frames a suspect, then appoints himself to investigate the crimes for which he has framed the suspect. Andrew Weissmann is leading the investigation into Donald Trump, and yet it was Weissmann who was involved in framing Donald Trump.
Oh, and by the way, we'll take the number 4 person at the Department of Justice and his wife, who happens to work for this little organization. Well, then they can have some communication. So, gentlemen,
and quickly, Jason, the dossier was used by Mueller. That 4th renewal was signed during Mueller's reign. Mueller's responsible for the use of the dossier just as much as these others.
Well, and that's where you start to
That's
get
the
into Rod
scandal
Rosenstein, too, who's got autographs on some of this stuff, and the memo he authored in firing of Director Comey. It's so incestuous that it needs to continue to be exposed. Thanks for your great work, both of you. We really do appreciate it.